students as they age out of the services. It is my pleasure to now introduce the Lieutenant Governor.
When people start talking about Iowa, I'm getting ready to stand up because now you hate to know how old people are now. Usually it's born in Iowa in 1900. So thank you for having me here. And I'm going to start with not only recognizing the administrators that are here, Dot and Bruce and all of the staff, of course all of our legislators, our elected, former and current elected public officials, our freeholders, our senator, our assemblyman. I'm going to do something, and also you all can't leave today without meeting Jonathan Sabin, right, from the Division of Developmental Disabled. You should get his cell phone number. There's a couple of other people I'm going to recognize. First, I want to recognize all the clients of P.R.I.D.E. Could you all just raise your hands? More importantly, from my perspective, of course, I want to recognize all the caregivers for the clients that just stood up. Can we just all give Louie? As Dot said, I have 3 sons, and I know for the mothers and the fathers in the room what it means to hear, you know, he's not going to be like your other 2. So I know what it's like to have to figure out how to change your entire life. I haven't gotten to the 22-year-old stage yet, but I come to events like this to speak from the heart. As I told the board member just a minute ago, it's very, very hard to stand up and talk about how important a facility like this is, not only to the clients, that's obvious, but to the parents who know they have a safe place. A safe, welcoming, open place that's going to give opportunities to their sons and daughters that, but for P.R.I.D.E. and the board members and the administrators and the teachers and all of the support that you get on every level, not just from the government, they wouldn't have a place, they wouldn't have a future, they wouldn't have any opportunities. I was a big fan of doing something for autistic children as the sheriff of Monmouth. I know I don't look like the sheriff, but sometimes you get to do really great things if you're the first woman sheriff in a town. And I was the first woman sheriff in Monmouth County, and we saw the value of Project Lifesaver, because you know as well as I do, and I know not all the kids here are autistic, but autistic children go to water, and you have about 30 minutes before an autistic child finds that water and has awful things that happen to you. And I know the Bergen County Sheriff here is engaged in Project Lifesaver. Monmouth County is very active in Project Lifesaver, and what that is a wristband. If your child leaves and disappears, we can find, by way of this wristband, the missing autistic child or any adult who's missing, or any child who's missing for whatever reason who has this band on. We can find them within 30 minutes. So I was a big fan of that with the sheriff, as the sheriff, as the mother of a child who's not going to be like the other 2. And also, a woman came to me once, a mother, who said, my son was just pulled over by a police officer in a town I won't name. My son has Asperger's. Right. My son has Asperger's. The police officer, he was sitting in the back seat, asked him to step out of the car. And he didn't know what to do next. But more importantly, the police officer didn't know what to do next. And so what we did as the result of this conversation is we developed a medical identification card. So any child with a medical condition that might run into a police officer could have some identification on them, hand that identification over to a police officer when they were pulled over, or any situation where they might not understand or react like a non-disabled child might react, so that the child has some evidence as to why he's not or she's not acting the way she's supposed to be acting, so the police officer doesn't react in the wrong way. Safety for the child. But more importantly, not only did we get these IDs in the hands of the parents and the children that needed it, we then began a volunteer training program for the police officers, so they would know how to react when they saw the medical ID. So as a sheriff, I was a huge fan of doing whatever we could to protect our children who might have some challenges in their lives. I was more than proud to be not only the first lieutenant governor, but the lieutenant governor to Governor Chris Christie, who's a huge supporter of anything we can do for children with developmental disabilities. You know, we've all been working very hard to keep them in the communities and with the families that they grew up with and who they're familiar with, and the environment they grew up in and that they're familiar with. We've worked very hard to get you the resources that you need so you can keep your children in your community, and more importantly, if you're a parent or a caregiver, so you know and can rest at night that when you're gone, they have someone who can take care of your children. We've put a lot of money in it, $41.8 million in new and state federal funding for additional community placements this year, 788. We're going to backload. Last year, we're adding $21.3 million to help place families and developmentally disabled people in the community that were authorized to go last year. Another $19.7 million in new and state federal funding so we can support the Division of Developmental Disabilities actions in Olmsted Initiative. So we've put our money where our mouth is. There's never, as a mother, there's never going to be enough money to do what needs to be done, which is why Freeholder John Voss is absolutely right, and Maria Di Nicola, we're very proud to be standing here to support the families and the private initiatives in any way we possibly can. Sometimes it might just be a proclamation. The governor is also delivering today, announcing the obvious, and that this April is Autism Month. But also sometimes it's showing up here. Also, it's sometimes making our voice known in a way that helps you raise money, helps you bring resources together. If you see me at any of the Autism Speaks events, I think it's even more important that we act. So for the parents in the room and the caregivers in the room, I'm going to do what I usually do. I'm going to give you my cell phone number. Because I once got a phone call from a former mayor whose son turned 16, and you know, things happen when children turn from one age group to another when they get older. Sometimes they don't react well to the environment they're in. Sometimes they change. Sometimes they need some help. And this former mayor couldn't get the help he needed for his 16-year-old son. He happened to have my cell phone number. So I was able to make phone calls, you know, Lieutenant Governor called, and people answer the phone. They do. The former mayor, maybe not so much, but Lieutenant Governor to this governor, they answer the phone. And I thought at the time, how awful is it that not every parent or caregiver has the same access this mayor happened to have because he had my cell phone number. So I tried very hard to give out my cell phone number in every environment. I asked the newspapers not to write it down. But I think that every parent should have access to the phone number of the person who literally lives down the hall, take a left and a right from the governor of the state of New Jersey. Because you shouldn't have to struggle. Let us help you struggle. Let us help you be the advocates. We have the registry already. There's 10,000 autistic children on our registry. We have an office, we have a person designated in the governor's office to respond to autism calls. We have many programs available to you. But if you're having problems today and you don't know where to go, I can get you help. And I don't think, and I know as good as you are, Dot, and as good as you are, Bruce, and as good as all the freeholders are, sometimes you need to have an answer quickly. You need to have someone in Trenton. Unfortunately, I don't recommend calling Trenton to write senator. You know, if you need Trenton, it's kind of scary. But if you're a parent who has nowhere else to go and you want to make sure that you have covered all the possibilities, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call me, because I'm a mom first. And I'm very lucky to be where I am in a position where I can sometimes make your lives a little easier. So if I can, I will. If I can't, I'll tell you. Or if I can't, I'll find somebody who can. Like Jonathan Sabin, don't leave without giving out your card. I'm going to give you my cell phone number because I firmly believe that you should have access to the people who can help you. If only just to answer the phone. Sometimes I can't tell you how much fun it's been to have given out my cell phone number to about 100,000 people in the last 5 months of Sandy recovery and rebuilding. But you know what? Sometimes you just want to know somebody's going to answer the phone. Sometimes I can help, and I know I will try.